welcome to the start of another season in our FM19 Journeyman in charge of Aston Villa. And today it's just going to be the pre-season roundup, and then the second upload is going to be the first two games. So yeah, make sure you stick around for that. But, well, let's start with the transfers, starting with the players who we've released. Now, Jason Wright, I don't think many of you all know, he was in our under-23s. He was just sort of a decent striker, but we've got enough decent strikers. He wanted more game time, so we let him go. He's gone to Birmingham. He's now, yeah, apparently a key player for them, so says a lot about their level, really. But also, Bastian Toma, quite a good player for us last season, but he's 32 years old. He wanted another 2-year deal, and I just couldn't offer that to him, to be honest. You can see he's on that 2 years at Crystal Palace, but I just couldn't give him that. I don't think he was good enough, and if we get promoted, I don't sort of want him hanging around, just sort of wanting to be played and taking up space and wages. I'd rather have just moved him on now and freed up that spot for somebody else to use. Let's start developing a younger player or integrate someone in the team who I think can be a bit more long-term. Just, it's a shame we couldn't keep him around because he was quite good last season, but yeah, he's had to move on. So moving on to the bulk of the transfers then, and you can see a lot of players have gone out. A lot of names who you might recognise too, so seems like a good idea to start there. So Gabriel has gone to Stoke for £25 million. Stoke obviously got promoted last season. I jumped at this, honestly. I wasn't looking to sell Gabriel, but when this offer came in, I think they initially offered about 10 million with a bit in add-ons, maybe going up to about 16 or 17 million, and I said, just give me 25 straight up and you can have him, thinking it'd just get him to, well, to go away, and it didn't. They just said yes, and I don't know what happened. I jumped at that. Yes, please, take him for 25 million. He was a decent player for us, but he was not 25 million decent. Like, 9 heading, really? But yeah, like I said, I wasn't trying to force him out of the club. I would have happily kept him, but for 25 million, I mean, come on. That's a ridiculous amount of money. He'll be happy because he gets to play at a higher level, and I think the replacements we've bought in for his position have been quite strong. I was looking to overhaul the centre-halves anyway, and well, having an extra 25 million in the bank to do it certainly helped. Just to quickly brush on a couple of others down here then, John Julius Steinarsson, our backup goalkeeper, went for 250k. Obviously, we bought in Colicchio. He was a bit surplus at that point. Marcus Freeman's gone out for about 30k. I don't really know who he is, neither do I know who Danny Mason is. Mark Collins is probably the next big one on the list, our right winger, who we tried to play at right midfield, and he wasn't very good. Yeah, he's gone for about 4 million. He was really hard to sell. Nobody wanted him. He finally went to Middlesbrough. We're still paying a small portion of his wages, but yeah, he just doesn't fit our system, unfortunately, and our wide midfielders can play as wingers, so it's not like I want him for that position in case we decide to switch either, because we can just play them there, and it just makes more sense, really. Keep the team more consistent and things like that. So yeah, he was just a bit more than we needed, to be honest. So he's gone to Middlesbrough. Hopefully it works out for him. He was a decent player. He was not catastrophic by any means. But yeah, I don't really know what to make of him, to be honest. I don't think he really fit the team. And, well, to have him move on, not a bad thing. Sam Morris, backup right back, one of many backup right backs, went out for 1.8 million. It's a decent bit of money in the bank. Palace can have him as far as I'm concerned. Steve Brown, a backup centre-half, our 4th choice centre-back last season. Yeah, like I said, I was trying to overhaul the defence, and I wanted to bring in new starters, so naturally a couple of players would have became sort of 3rd and 4th choice. He just became surplus at that point. Sean Golding's gone out on loan. Alper Yildiz, our backup left-back. I don't think we ever played him, so you might not remember him. But yeah, he's gone out for about 400k. I didn't really want to get rid of him. He was pretty decent for a backup, to be honest. But, well, he wanted football, and he was complaining, saying he wanted first-team football, and I'd rather just let him go, to be honest. If he wants to play, fair enough to him. I can't fault that. Maxen Lafitte's gone out on loan. Don't know who he is. I don't actually know who any of these are, apart from Carlos Fajardo, who was out on loan last season, and we've just sold him on because he's not very good. So, yeah, that's pretty much the outs, to be honest. That massive fee for Gabriel really helped, and a bit more just coming in from a couple of other players. Collins, Morris, Brown. One player who I could not get rid of, despite trying, is Alexi P2. Nobody wanted him. He was worth 11 million at the start of the window, and I've been offering him out for that low that his value's gone down to about 3 million and still nobody will take him. Nobody wants him. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so he's still knocking around. I might have put him in the under-23s, and if I haven't, I probably should do. But yeah, other than that, I think it was a fairly successful window for sales. I got rid of a lot of the players who I didn't really want, and strengthened in a lot of ways, I think. So let's have a look at some of this strengthening that we have done, starting with £20 million man Gary Reid. Now, please take in mind that none of these transfer fees are up front. A lot of them will be, the bulk of it is being played over the next few years. But Gary Reed, right midfielder, right winger, 19 years old and looks exceptionally good for his age. He's got some good stats in there. A couple that are a little bit lower, but he is only 19. He's going to have to develop. I mean, you would like that technique and that passing to be a little bit higher, especially his off-the-ball movement as well. But other than that, he looks very, very good, and I really am hoping he can just push on and keep developing. He can play on the wing as well, but we're going to be deploying him in the right midfield position, competing with Kareem Badon, and it really is going to be a competition. They both look extremely good. I've played Reed through the preseason, and he's impressed a lot. You can actually see down here, he played 2 games and had 2 substitute appearances, scoring 3 goals and getting 2 assists with an 8.02 average rating. That's not bad at all. That's really hard to fault. So yeah, he's looking pretty decent so far, and well, we signed him for $19.5 million from Reading. He didn't really impress last season in the Championship, but I think we can really get a lot out of him, and he's very young as well. He's going to develop. He's going to be around for a while. I quite like this signing. I'm very optimistic about it. Next on the list then, our player I think is an absolute steal, Flavio Andrade, who we picked up for $1.7 million from Oostende in Belgium. And I think he looks excellent. I don't know what you think, but he's a 20-year-old central midfielder, can play as a deep line playmaker, advanced playmaker, or a Mazzala very well. So he's sort of a replacement for Toma, just a lot younger. You know, you can play both of those positions. He's going to have time to develop, and that is a key thing. I really thought central midfield was a good opportunity to bring a younger player in, a less experienced player, because we know Doyle Hayes struggles with fitness. We know that Andrade is going to get game time because Doyle Hayes isn't going to play every game. He's not going to be playing in the Cups, and if we've got a weaker opposition, I might even not play him because I am worried about his fitness. He's 32 years old, and he's a very good player. I don't want to waste him. And also, we're probably not going to play Doyle Hayes for 90 minutes when he does play, so Andrade is going to get a lot of opportunity to develop and shine. And I think he looks really good as it is. You can see sort of the stats which are being highlighted as key are all quite good, with the exception of maybe his composure and anticipation and off the ball maybe, but he looks really good. I don't know, I'm impressed. I think he looks very, very nice, and he's going to develop quite well, I do believe. He's also had quite a decent pre-season. He went off to the African Cup of Nations and, well, played a few games there where he did quite well, 6.8s, knocking around there. Played in our pre-season for every single game, got 1 goal and 3 assists. We scored a lot of goals in our pre-season, I should probably mention that, but the goal he scored, absolute banger from outside the box. It was very nice, but yeah, Flavio Andrade looks very good, especially for the low price of $1.7 million. I honestly feel like that's one where we just can't go wrong. So, I did say we were overhauling the defence, and that starts with Christopher Armstrong, 21-year-old centre-back. 3-star current ability, but looks like he could still grow. And I quite like his stats, to be honest. His heading's a little bit low, but other than that, pretty solid across the board. He's got a decent pass on him as well, with 11 passing. That's very good for a centre-half at this level. And yeah, he's young. He's only going to continue to develop. We picked him up for $6.25 million from Leeds, who only had him for a season, barely played him, and then moved him on. But I think he looks pretty good, to be honest. I'm quite optimistic about this signing. I think it's going to be not necessarily an immediate improvement over Gabriel, but over the course of the season, I do think he will reach that point. And, well, he does have a new centre-back partner to accompany him. And that centre-back partner is Sam Roscoe. He's 19 years old. We signed him from Man City for £1 million. £1 million. That's ridiculous for a player of this quality. I mean, you just have to look at his stats. For a 19-year-old centre-back, he's got decent in all 3 of the main defensive attributes. Some solid mentals, if not perfect, but he is only young with foreseen determination. Some very good physicals. He's about 6'5", and he's got 18 jumping reach, 17 strength, and he's not slow either, with 13 in both of the speed-based attributes. But he's excellent. He looks really good, and he's 19, and we got him for £1 million. It's another situation of how do you say no to that? So he's going to be starting at centre-half with Armstrong, and yeah, we've got a new, young centre-back pairing. There may be some teething issues. There may be, they're 2 young defenders, they're not that experienced, and they're new to the team and playing with each other. They're going to take a while to bed in, but I think once they do, we're going to have a very, very strong centre-back pairing, which is homegrown, and can be here for a very long time, and I think that's really going to benefit us. So, yeah, I'm quite optimistic about this one, to be honest. I think Sam Roscoe is going to be a really good signing. So, on the left wing then, Jose Luis Gonzalez. I did mention I was trying to move on P2, and despite being unable to do so, I have brought in a replacement for him, and that man, well, he's standing right before you, and he set us back quite a bit of money, but you can see by that value, that 21 million value, he was always going to. He's 21 years old, young and very talented already. He's got great physicals, some solid mentals in there too, and some good technicals to boot. You know, good crossing technique, passing, first touch, dribbling. They're all okay, especially for his age, where he can still develop. And in the pre-season, it's safe to say he's done very well. 3 games of starting, 1 as a substitute, 4 goals, 2 assists, and a 9.17 average rating. That is ridiculous. And if you just take a look at his history, you can see his stats about 26 million. Now, that could rise up to 33 based on appearances and goals. I think it's 3.5 mil for an extra 50 appearances and 3.5 mil for 20 goals for the club in the league. So that's not bad, to be honest. I'm quite happy with this. I do think he's a very good young player who could be here for a while and could really help us, to be honest. He looks excellent. Whether we start him or Jastrzemski is a massive debate, but I think I'm going to lead off with, on both sides, our new wingers, Reed and Gonzalez. Now, just before it happens, we've got Luis Gustavo at left back and Jose Luis Gonzalez at left midfield. I'm going to get them mixed up. Just be ready for it, because it's going to happen constantly. But he looks so good. I can't believe he managed to come to us, to be honest. We picked him up from Leeds. Again, another player who we sort of nicked from them. And, well, they've made a nice tidy profit on him. That can't be argued. But I think he's going to really be worth it. I don't know how his value's gone up from being worth 1.4 million to 26 million by playing 7 games in 2 years. But, well, that's one for the FM to decide, really, isn't it? So I think we've got a really good deal here. I'm not going to lie. I think he's going to be with us for a while, and, well, we'll just have to wait and see. Just quickly touch on this one then. Backup left back, Lee McKenna, came in to replace Alper Yildiz. He's a backup. He's fine. He's not great by any stretch of the imagination, but he's okay. He's serviceable. So if we do have any issues with Gustavo, we can drop him in there, but he's not going to be featuring too much, providing all goes as planned. He only cost us 3.5 million from Hibernian, so yeah, I don't think we can go wrong with him, to be honest. He's happy to be a backup, and that's all I really wanted. Speaking of players who are happy to be a backup, I wanted one extra player in that midfield just in case we had any injuries or suspensions, because we had 3 central midfielders and 1 defensive midfielder, which means, like, if we get an injury or a suspension to a central midfielder, we don't have a central midfielder on the bench. So I wanted an extra one. Marko Grujic was available on a free, cheap, happy to be a backup, everything I wanted, because in an ideal situation, he won't play. But if we need him, he is there. He's a serviceable player. He's got bags of experience, 35 years old in the game, obviously plays for Liverpool in real life, or at least he did. I don't know if he's still there, to be honest. It appears he's not. He's on loan. He is still there. Okay. But yeah, he's excellent for that. For a free transfer on £8,000 a week, I don't know what more you could want. He's very good. He can help develop some of our younger players, especially Andrade, who's our new young central midfielder. I just think he's going to be fine, to be honest. Hopefully we don't have to see him, but if we do, we've got Marko Grujic, and with that you can't really go wrong. So this is how I'm starting to line us up, sort of off an initial judgment. This is what I'm going with. This is what I think is probably our best 11. Now, there's a couple of controversial choices in here, I'm sure. Vidasa has been dropped from centre-half, and probably the more pressing one is Reed and Gonzalez on the flanks, when Benon and Jastrzemski were quite good last season, but I just think these younger players have got a real good opportunity here to really prove themselves, and I want to give them that chance. Now, Benon and Jastrzemski both still here, definitely still very good players, so no problems at all with playing them if we do need them, but I want to give the new guys a chance. Let's see what they can do. Now, we had a friendly a couple of days ago, but basically none of these players played. The only ones who featured were Armstrong and Roscoe, who started that game and then started this one. A couple of the others came on off the bench, but yeah, we should be perfectly fine to go into our first game of the season with this lineup. So I'm quite optimistic, to be honest. I think we've got so much good depth. I mean, you can see down here, we've got a lot of good players knocking around. McKenna and Grujic need a number, but actually, let's move Alexi P2 on now. Let's get him to the under-23s, shall we? And just, well, I mean, this is how it leaves us lining up. So we've still got Joe Philip at right back alongside Horn. We've got 2 new centre-halves with Vidasa and Benkovic as backups. Vidanovic and Colicchio still as keepers. I'm probably going to feature Colicchio a fair bit more, give him a chance to shine, but probably in the cup competitions or against weaker sides once the table started to establish itself a little bit. Luis Gustavo with new man McKenna backing him up. Reed and Benon on the right. Chesnikov, Andrade, Doyle Hayes, and Grujic in the centre with Cheltsov as a defensive midfield option. Gonzalez and Jastrzemski on the left. Bayliss, McGee, Harrianto, and Flynn as our striker options. So, it's all very good if you ask me. It's all very, very good. I'm really happy with this. I think we've got great depth across the field. I think we're going to do really well. I've said that before and we've got sacked, but I'm optimistic, reasonably optimistic. So, how's the schedule looking? Well, pre-season, like I said, it was a bit of a mess, to be honest. A 5-2, a 4-1, a 5-3, and a 2-1 defeat to Las Palmas. Only that last result's really too disappointing. Worth noting, by the way, we beat Sheffield United, who obviously went up last season, I do believe. So, yeah, they're in the Premier Division. They came second. That's not bad, really. We beat Willem 2, we beat FC Halifax. Worth noting, by the way, in the 3 games we won, we went behind in every single one. So if we do go behind, don't panic. You know, we will be fine. It's completely okay. So, well, we're used to a comeback already. But yeah, you can see here, a lot of the newer players featured quite heavily. A couple of the older ones too. And they've all really sort of shone. They've done very, very well. So I don't really know what more to say about it. First game of the season, we've got Bolton. And our aims for this season are to reach the playoffs. It's quite low. We could have gone higher and got more money, but we've got money left over. You can see here, we've got 15 million and 233k wage budget just knocking around, not doing anything. So I didn't want to overreach, to be honest. I didn't want to set the targets any higher than we needed to, and we didn't need the money. So yeah, playoffs is all we're aiming for, which should be very doable, to be honest. We came so close, and we only had, 34 games last season after somebody put us on 2 wins after 12 games. So it should be a straightforward season, I'm not going to lie. I'm hoping to go out there, give the youth a chance to develop, beat a lot of teams, and hopefully have a good time of it. So I guess the last thing to sort of touch on is how we're doing, and we haven't really developed much at all. Yeah, we're still pretty much exactly where we started. Actually, there is something else to touch on. The staff. I've overhauled pretty much the entire coaching team. I've just got an allowance for an extra coach, so I'm going to be bringing that in. We've got some scouts I'm looking to bring in too, some data analysts, and some extra physios. I've really pretty much overhauled the backroom staff because they were shambolic. They were awful. We've got a few familiar names here, actually. If I just go to the coaching team, you'll see that Aaron Lennon's still our head of youth development. I think he's the only player to stick around other than fitness coach Daniel Lothian. Everyone else is new. But then also, if we just go back to that, Michael Carrick is here. So yeah, we've got Michael Carrick as one of our coaches, which is quite nice. He actually is quite good as well. I've not just signed him because he's Michael Carrick. He's a decent attacking coach with some good other stats across the board as well. So yeah, very good actually. He's very, very good. Oh, nice. Okay. He's even better than I thought. But yeah, 50 years old, Michael Carrick. Wow. But we've overhauled the staff, we've overhauled the squad. I think it's left us in a really strong position. If we go to the board here, you'll see that we're stable at the minute. They're satisfied, but I think they are looking for us to push for promotion this year. They're disappointed with the departure of Gabriel, but 25 million? Really? Like, I couldn't turn that down. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments, but I think that is I think he was good. I don't think he was irreplaceable, and I think the players we've bought in for him, 2 young centre-halves who are homegrown and already look pretty decent. I think we've done an excellent bit of business there, but, well, let's wrap this up. I've rambled on for long enough, so, well, let's head on to the next video where we are going to play the first 2 games against Bolton and Bristol City. That's going to be up straight after this one at about 5:45, so make sure you go and check that out. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you all in that video. See you there.